What's good? It's your boy JayThat'sMe. Let's discuss NXT for July the 4th, 2023. This show was very solid for the most part. A very good 4th of July edition of NXT. I enjoyed it even though it was a tape show. Very good stuff. Very good stuff on America's birthday. So we kicked this show off with a match, the first match of the night, which was Blair Davenport versus Roxanne Perez. So during Davenport's entrance, Roxanne Perez attacked Blair Davenport from behind. They got into a little mini brawl, then they started going into the match. Towards the end of the match, they're fighting on the outside, and Davenport hit Roxanne with a nasty knee on the steel steps. She threw her back into the ring and hit two more knees for the 1, 2, 3. Blair Davenport wins. I like this. This is fine. So I'm guessing they're going to have Blair Davenport go after Wendy Choo next. And after she's done with Wendy Choo, I don't know who else she goes after. I know that So Ruka and Nikita Lyons, they're both out with injury, so they won't be back until next year. So they're gone for a long time. Both of them are. I don't know what they do with her after she takes out Wendy Choo. I don't know. Moving on. So Mackenzie Mitchell, she's backstage with Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile's nervous about tonight's Leaves NXT match, but she says the Creed brothers are more focused than ever. Ivy Nile says the Schism is dangerous enough to take over NXT. Timmy Stratton, she interrupts. She asks Mackenzie Mitchell why is she talking to Ivy Nile instead of asking her about last week's title defense. Ivy Nile says everyone saw Tiffany Stratton tap out to Thea Hale last week. Tiffany Stratton responds, everyone except the ref. The referee didn't see it. So they have some words, and Ivy Nile says she would have won if that would have been her. Tiffany Stratton then dismisses Ivy Nile, and she goes off to be where she needs to be. Tiffany Stratton wants to know if Ivy Nile also leaves if the Creed brothers lose. She asked this to Mackenzie. Mackenzie says it's just the Dyad or the Creeds. Okay, I'm fine with that. Makes sense. I kind of wish they would actually build up to the match, but we're getting it next week. Should be decent. So, it is what it is. I was kind of wanting them to build it up until the Great American Bash. But it is what it is. Moving on. We get a very good vignette from Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin says last week sucked for him. He didn't win the NXT title like he thought. So now he's pissed off and embarrassed. He miscalculated the nostalgia of the Lone Wolf and thought it would pay off. He's got it all. Family, fame, and money. But he's just good as it seems. Good. Are you kidding me? Corbin needs to be feared and respected. He goes on and says to dictate his future, he can't go back to the past. He has to kill it. He doesn't want people bowing down to him. He doesn't want a position of authority. He doesn't care about his pockets or what's in them. He damn sure doesn't want a manager. Corbin hasn't worked hard for the last 4 years just to go back. He needs to burn it all down. He refuses to go back. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no bullshit. And then he throws all his stuff into his fireplace, which is fucking awesome. Very good stuff here. I loved it. This was tremendous. So he's sticking around for a good while, and that is much appreciated. So I do think that, one, Shawn Michaels can use Baron Corbin right. So we will see where it goes. Next, Tyler Bate versus Mustafa Ali. So Mustafa Ali gets the win via the 450 splash. The match was decent between the two. I mean, as it would be. It was a little decent work rate match. So, post-match, Ali looked into the camera and he addresses Wes Lee. Ali says, "It's time, my friend." He challenges Wes Lee to a title match at the Great American Bash. And then the fans pop. So, this makes sense here. I don't know what you do with Tyler Bate going forward. Hopefully, either Wes Lee or Mustafa Ali turn heel after their match at the Great American Bash. It needs to happen. Hopefully Wes Lee turns. I'm pretty sure he probably saw Zachary Wentz come back, a.k.a. Nash Carter, when he was in WWE. So that was pretty cool to see that on Impact last week. That was great. So I'm glad that Zachary Wentz is back. But I do hope that Wes Lee turns heel. I think that Mustafa Ali being a babyface just works better for him. I think Wes Lee has been babyface for so long, it's just not for him to kind of revert back to being a heel. And we know he can do it from his Impact days. Moving on. So Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Joe Gacy and Ava Raine. She asked why the Dyad was put in this loser leaves NXT match. Joe said he would never put anyone in a situation if their hearts aren't in it. Ava and Joe Gacy are confident the Creeds are done after tonight. Joe Gacy says the right team will win and it will strengthen them. Tonight they will eliminate a big problem from NXT forever. So this leads us into our next match, which is Tatum Paxley versus Kalani Jordan, who looks super good. So she wins via the stunner. Dana Brooke is by her side, which is not good. Ugh, I don't like that. And I was shocked to find that Dana Brooke had been in WWE for 10 years. Actually, over 10 years. She's been there since, I think, 2012. She's been there for 11 years. That's insane, and she's not improved that much. Not good. Not good at all. I get that they're pairing her up with Kalani Jordan because they're both gymnasts, but still, nah, Dana Brooke ain't it, honey. I mean, Dana Brooke is okay, but she definitely is not it. So, post-match, Dana Brooke hugs Kiana Jordan. So, Cora Jade interrupts, and she mocks Jordan, and then says, "It's so cute how gymnasts stick together." Cora Jade says, "Any friend of Brooks is an enemy of hers," which is a really good line there. Jade trash talks the fans until Kiani interrupts and says she has one more match in her tonight. So how about we settle this in the ring now? Dana Brooke asks Jade what she thinks of that. Jade says, "Don't tell her what to do, ever." And then Cora Jade dips out. So that's fine. I'm pretty sure they'll probably do a match between the two sometime next week, although it's not that important. But Cora Jade has really come into her own. Her being heel has been working wonders for her, and she gets it. So I love what they're doing with Cora Jade. Hopefully she can be champion in the next little while. Maybe sometime next year, because I want Tiffany Stratton to have like a long reign. But I would love Cora Jade to be champion. I think she would do great as a NXT Women's Champion. I really do. Moving on. So Chase U is back. They welcome back Andre Chase. So Thea Hale said she missed Andre Chase, and he missed them all. So before the lesson, Andre Chase wants to recognize some people. He brings up Duke Hudson and praises him for stepping up in his absence, proving why he's the MVP of Chase U. Duke stands there with Andre Chase, but Chase tells him he can sit down. Chase calls Thea Hale the uncrowned NXT Women's Champion and says, "We all saw her make Tiffany Stratton tap out." Andre Chase says he would like, she would be champion if it wasn't for these two clowns, that being Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak. They're on the screen now. Andre Chase says last week when he saw them get involved, he couldn't take it any longer. He had to come out and stop them. So then Andre Chase lashes out at a student who asks if they'll see Dempsey and Drew Gulak giving guest lectures any longer. So Duke says he's got this. Duke turns around in his seat and also yells at the guy. They say they won't be seeing Gulak and Dempsey unless they're receiving a Chase U-size ass whooping. And then the students, they pop. And then Andre Chase says it feels damn good to be back. And then the students break out with a Chase U chant. So that's fine there. I like that. I'm glad that Andre Chase is back. He's okay in this character. Much better than he was in Evolve as Harlem Bravado. So, this to me is a serviceable character and a serviceable gimmick for him. When he goes to the main roster, this will definitely be over. This will definitely get over for sure. Because they do like bizarre and crazy segments all the time with Chase U. Moving on. So, we then get the NXT Underground fight between Eddy Thorpe and Damen Kemp. Very good little fight here. So, basically, there's a bunch of suplexes in the match and everything else. And so, Thorpe basically wins via elbows to the heads, and the referee, calls for the match. So that makes sense there. I thought that post-match that Gable Steveson was going to turn on Eddy Thorpe, but it doesn't happen. So post-match, and this went on for like a good 5 minutes. So this was great here. So post-match, a bunch of guys start coming in from the Performance Center, and they all get suplexed. Like this one big monster black guy comes in, and he gets suplexed like crazy. That was cool. So Eddy Thorpe wins via TKO, referee stoppage. So I like that. So I guess it makes sense. And those suplexes from Gable Steveson look really, really good. So hopefully we can see his in-ring debut in due time. Moving on. So Trick and Mello, they're backstage. Excuse me. So Carmelo addresses the Judgment Day and says he doesn't take their threats lightly. He appreciates Finn Balor sending Rhea Ripley to NXT, but she really didn't say much. Carmelo says he will tread lightly because Damian Priest has his money in the bank briefcase, but beware because it's a different game, a ball game in NXT. Carmelo invites all of Judgment Day to come to NXT and follow up on the threats, including Dirty Dom. Trick and Mello say they are the judge, jury, and executioners. You want to go toe-to-toe, that would be your Judgment Day because that's all it is, and that's all it's going to be. So I do like that. It does make sense. I don't think that Damian Priest will cash in on Carmelo Hayes. I really don't think that they'll stoop that low. I get they're trying to make NXT into a third brand, but to me, that won't happen. That's not going to happen. He'll probably cash in on Seth Rollins in due time. Moving on. Lyra Valkyria versus Jacy Jayne. Well, that's up next. My bad. Let's go into Stacks. So, Stacks is visiting Tony D in jail. Tony asks what happened last week. Stacks thinks that he's talking about the match, but Tony refers to the tapes of Stacks saying he's the new Don. Stacks says he made a hell of a deal with them. Joe Coffey sits next to Stacks. Joe Coffey looks like he's homeless. He needs to shave his head. Like, he looks awful with that. He looks awful with that shit. Shave it, bruh. Shave it. That ain't you. Tony hopes that Stacks didn't make a deal with Rats, and Stacks says he would never betray Tony. Stacks explains the deal. It'll be it'll be Joe Coffey versus Stacks next week if Stacks wins. Tony charges will be dropped, and they'll earn a shot against Gallus. If Coffey wins, Tony must stay in jail until his trial begins, which means he'll probably be locked up for a long time because he'll be convicted. Tony can't believe Stacks agreed to this. Joe says that this was Stacks' idea. Stacks says Tony acts like he can't make his own decisions now. He says business has been good while Tony has been in jail, and the envelopes are full. The underboss is making moves. Tony's not happy. Stacks says Tony isn't here. It was Stacks' decision, and Tony has to live with that. So Stacks leaves. Joe picks up the phone and says, "Bye, Don." And Joe leaves as an angry Tony slams the phone against the wall over and over again. So I do like this. This actually makes sense. There's big stakes for this. You can go some type of way about this. You could have it where Stacks wins, or you could have it where Stacks loses on purpose to kind of screw over Tony. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still calling himself the new Don. So Stacks undoubtedly has something up his sleeve. So this should be interesting, and I'm all for this. Moving on. So this leads us into Lyra Valkyria versus Jacy Jayne. Lyra Valkyria gets the win via the big roundhouse kick for the 1-2-3. There was a cool spot in the match where Jacy Jayne did a rolling senton. I enjoyed that. That was a close 2 count. I thought that was going to be the finish there, but it wasn't. And then post-match, Lyra Valkyria celebrates for a half a second, and then she's attacked by Jacy Jayne. Jacy Jayne beats her down. And then she grabs Lyra Valkyria's sacred feathers, and she rips them apart. And then she dips out. So they're going to continue this feud, which I'm fine with. Noam Dar. So he's talking to a photo of the NXT the NXT Heritage Cup. He's losing his mind and just needs the cup in his life. Noam Dar's going crazy without the cup and says he don't know what he'll do. So the rest of the Metaphor come in. Oro Mensah, Last Legend, and Jakara Jackson. They walk up. Dar says he has a Supernova Sessions segment planned for next week, but doesn't know how he'll do it with no cup in his possession. The other three agree that they have to do something about this. They drag Noam Dar away as he begs for just 5 more minutes with the cup photo. Okay, makes sense, I guess. Who really cares, though? Not really that important. We have too many talk shows. We just need really 2 at this point, and that's just the Grayson Waller effect and the and Miz TV. So Kiana James, she's going to her office. She's on the phone. She's bragging and laughing to someone about how she covered Gigi Dolan in paint last week. So then James, she hangs up the phone and enters her office, and it has a wet paint sign on the front door. So the office has been destroyed by vandals. There's paint writing all over the walls, and a note that says you cannot outrun your past. So So Kiana James says it's time to take the gloves off. Talking about GD Dolan. So that makes perfect sense. I love this. This is a really good segment here. Very good stuff here. Hopefully they'll do maybe like a no DQ match or something like that. That's what I hope they do. Something of that sort. Maybe a last woman standing match. Don't really know. Maybe a steel cage. Who knows? Moving on. So Von Wagner, he's destroying Javier Bernal at ringside. So they mentioned on commentary that Javier Bernal had said some stuff to Von Wagner, which he didn't take too kindly to. So Von is about to powerbomb Bernal through the table, but Stone's talking him out of it, and then he eventually takes off his shirt and powerbombs Javier Bernal through the table to a really good pop. Like the place, it didn't go ballistic, but they were excited that it happened, so they were excited for that. So that makes sense. I'm guessing this is a way to get him over and make him a babyface. So makes sense here. Makes sense. Moving on. So we get another vignette for Bronco, Nima, and Lucien Price. So they're a local convenience store. Then they're riding in a Dodge Charger, which is nice. They say NXT isn't ready for them, and they're ready to roll through the tag division. They have athleticism and street knowledge. No one is like them. They're brothers, not by blood, but by heart. Now they have a place to let all this anger out from their lives. They go on and say all NXT teams are about to feel it because they're on their way. No one is safe. And Nima and Price say they'll be on NXT next week, and then they drive away. I like that. Really good vignette. They've been hyping them up pretty good. I know they've done a couple of stuff and Level Up for a while. They're not new, but they've been in the Performance Center doing a couple things here and there. So that's cool. I enjoyed that. And no, they're not Crime Time at all. They're not. They're just two brothers from the hood that made it. So I can kind of dig that. So that makes for a good story right there. Main event. Loser leaves NXT. The Dyad versus the Creed brothers. Very, very good match here. Early on, Joe Gacy got involved early on, where the match was about to be over. When Julius was going for the shooting star press, he got a long 2 count, and then Gacy got involved in, and then the referee basically ejected Joe Gacy from the match. So towards the end of the match, Ava Rain got involved, but Ivy Nile came in and made the save. And then there was another one of Schism's followers who jumped the guardrail. He had on a red hoodie and a loaded mask. He did a headbutt to Julius, and then that allowed for the Dyad to hit their code breaker finish for the 1, 2, 3. And the Creeds are defeated, and then the Dyad win. And that really deflated the entire crowd. They went silent. They went mute. So there's that. I'm guessing the reason why they did this is because they're going to use the Creeds on the main roster. They've been in NXT for a while. They progressed very well. They've been in there for over a year. They've been there for about a year and a half. Almost a year and 8 months they've been there. And they've improved tremendously. They've been NXT tag team champions a couple times. And they're going to do well on the main roster. Hopefully they can go to Monday Night Raw and be paired up with Alpha Academy. I think that would be great for them. If they go to SmackDown, they'll just be put in a feud with Pretty Deadly. And I don't want that. And I don't want them to face the Usos just yet either. So Raw would be their best bet. But the match was solid. The guy under the mask, we don't know. Hopefully they will do the reveal next week. So, post-match, the Creed brothers, they waved goodbye, and that was it. We got that during a commercial break. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. Moving on. So, Finn Balor, he addresses Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams and says, "You're not sweating me in the Judgment Day." Balor recalls when Carmelo was sweating while Balor was dragging him around Raw a week ago. Finn Balor says he gets it. They want the rub from the Judgment Day. He goes on and says there will be no happy endings and he'll see them next week on NXT. Balor asks, "How's that for a subliminal?" Balor is apparently bringing the Judgment Day to NXT. So I do like that. Closing segment of the show. So Braun Breaker, he comes out, he gets on the mic. He brags about competing in the most watched NXT match in over 2 years. All because he called out WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. Braun says they went to war, but no one believed he had a chance until he had a spear on Rollins in the middle of the ring. And then he heard the energy in the arena drop. He says Rollins would go on and prove how good he is, but Braun can't stress how close he was to winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Braun says he was that close with only 78 matches in his career, while Rollins has had more premium live events matches than he's had, period. Damn. Braun says he didn't have the luxury of traveling the world and working in high school gyms to learn. Everything Braun has learned has been right here on live TV every week, which is facts. Braun says his first night on the job, he beat one of the hottest superstars in the world right now, LA Knight. Braun says he's only 25 years old, and he's proved he can hang with the very best in the business. He's that good. Braun says he get used to seeing his face for decades to come because he's got a lot more people to beat and titles to win. Braun says people always want to know what's next for NXT's most intense superstar. What's next for the badass Braun Breaker? Out comes Ilja Dragunov to a massive pop. Dragunov knows what's next for Braun. It's him, so Braun's annoyed. Dragunov says he wanted to come out and confront Braun like a man, not with a cheap shot in the back. Ilja says the only person standing between him and the NXT title is Braun. Ilja says he came to eliminate Braun. Dragunov says it's funny because Braun talks about danger, and when he's now standing in the ring with the most dangerous man in NXT. So Dragunov then hits Braun with a high knee, and then they have a massive brawl. I enjoyed it. So they keep on fighting and yelling, and then officials come out, they separate them, and they continue to fight and yell. Braun says, "I'll kick your ass. You're kidding me." And we go off the air. So really good stuff there. Really good stuff. This episode gave us a lot to be desired. So obviously we're setting up stuff for Bron and Ilja at the Great American Bash, as well as Finn Balor versus Carmelo Hayes at the Great American Bash. We might have Tony D versus Stacks at the Great American Bash, depending on how things go next week. But NXT was a very solid show this week. But what did you guys think? Let me know. Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.